She walked for 4 hours under the burning Nigerian sun to pay a debt her dead father had left behind. Morenike Adeyemi had no money, no powerful family, no one to protect her. So she stood before one of the richest men in Abeokuta and said the only thing she could offer: "I will work for you until my father's debt is paid." But she was not prepared for what happened next. The moment Chief Aderemi Adegoke looked at the document in her hands, his face changed. The signature looked real, the debt looked official, but the seal was wrong. And when they opened the old account books, they discovered something far more terrifying. Morenike's father may never have owed anyone a single kobo. Someone had created the debt to silence him. Someone inside Aderemi's own powerful family. And the closer Morenike came to the truth, the more dangerous her life became. Anonymous threats appeared. Old witnesses vanished. A forbidden love began growing between the poor teacher's daughter and the wealthy widower whose family name was connected to her suffering. Then, hidden inside her father's old bag, Morenike found a key to a secret someone had been willing to kill to protect. And what she discovered next would destroy one of the most respected families in Abeokuta forever. In the dry season of 1926, before the first rooster crowed, Morenike Adeyemi was already awake. She sat beside the doorway of the small mud brick house she shared with her mother and 2 younger brothers. A smoky kerosene lamp burned near her feet. Before her lay folded lengths of adie cloth, deep blue and patterned with pale circles and tiny white stars. Her mother had spent days over the indigo pots until her fingers turned blue. Once, her father had said that good adie carried the patience of the woman who dyed it. Now, every piece also carried the fear of a family that might soon lose its roof. "Morenike," her mother's tired voice came from inside. "I am here, Mama. You have not slept." Morenike turned. Mama Shade stood in the doorway, wrapping a faded iro around her waist. Grief had aged her in only 3 months since the death of her husband, Morenike Adeyemi, the respected village teacher. "You cannot carry the whole sky on your head," she said. Morenike tried to smile. "Someone must hold it up for now." Inside, 12-year-old Toby and 9-year-old Kunle slept on a woven mat. They still believed their elder sister knew what to do. Morenike wished she believed it too. The trouble had arrived the previous afternoon with a thin clerk from Akinola Trading House, a powerful cocoa business. He unfolded a document and read it in a dry voice. According to the paper, Morenike's late father had borrowed a large sum from Chief Aderemi Adegoke's family. The debt had never been settled and had grown enormously through added charges. They had 14 days. If payment was not made, their house, dyeing shed, and the land behind it would be taken. Mama Shade had nearly fallen. All night, Morenike examined the paper. Her father had taught her to read English and Yoruba, keep accounts, and distrust frightening documents. Yet, the signature at the bottom looked like his. That frightened her most. At dawn, she made her decision. She would go to Aderemi Adegoke's estate herself. Not to beg, she would offer her labor until the debt was cleared. By sunrise, she had changed into her best blouse and an indigo wrapper, then placed the document inside a cloth bag. Mama Shade watched from the doorway. "You are going alone?" "Yes." "To that man's estate?" "To speak to whoever has authority." Her mother crossed her arms. "Rich men do not hear poor people until the poor people become a problem. Then I will become a problem they cannot ignore. Morenike, the warning in her mother's voice stopped her. Mama Shade took both her hands. Your father left us books, a good name, and children who still greet their elders properly. Do not throw yourself into danger because of a piece of paper. If I do nothing, they will take this house, your dye pots, and the workshop. Her mother looked away. I will not disgrace you, Morenike said. That is not what I fear. People with power sometimes believe dignity belongs only to them. Morenike held her gaze. Then perhaps someone should remind them. The journey took nearly 4 hours, past rocky outcrops, red earth, and cassava farms. Traders carrying baskets on their heads passed her, and a lorry loaded with cocoa sacks coughed dust into the air. By late morning, her sandals were red with dust. Then the estate appeared. Beyond cocoa trees and palms stood a large 2-story house with a deep veranda. Around it were storehouses, workers' quarters, and a long shed where men weighed cocoa beans. Morenike slowed. She had known the Adegoke family was wealthy. She had not understood how wealthy. At the main gate, a guard in khaki stopped her. Where are you going? To see whoever was in charge. Do you have an appointment? No. He laughed. Then you have come to see the road back home. Morenike did not move. It concerns a debt in my late father's name. Please announce that Morenike Adeyemi, daughter of Adekunle Adeyemi, is here. The guard clicked his tongue and sent a boy toward the offices. Morenike waited. At last, a thick-set man came from the main house. The senior manager, Mr. Balogun, wore polished shoes and carried a walking stick. You are Adeyemi's daughter? Yes, sir. You have the notice? She handed it to him. I know the matter. I came to discuss repayment. That made him look at her properly. Repayment? With what money? I do not have the money. Then why are you here? To work. Mr. Balogun smiled without kindness. I can read and write, keep accounts and copy letters in English and Yoruba. I can work in the stores or office, pay part of my wages to my family and take the rest toward the debt. He laughed. You think this is a folktale told under moonlight? No, sir. You think a few years of work will make your father's mountain of debt disappear? I said I would work. He led her into an office smelling of paper, tobacco, and heat. Mr. Balogun opened the thick book. Your father's obligation, charges, delays, additional advances. Morenike stepped closer. Let me see. The manager covered the page with his arm. You do not need to see. It is my family's debt. It is my account book. Her eyes narrowed. You said there were additional advances. My father never told us he borrowed again. Men do not tell their families everything. My father did. Mr. Balogun closed the ledger. The amount is beyond anything your work could repay. Then I will work for as long as necessary. He studied her in a way that made her skin tighten. There are other arrangements for people who cannot meet financial obligations. His voice softened. Morenike understood. I came to offer honest work. No other kind interests me. His smile vanished. You are standing here because I allowed you inside. And I am leaving because I have heard what kind of man sits here. She turned. His hand closed around her wrist. Release me. Lower your voice. Release me. Do not behave like a foolish market girl. Morenike pulled once. He tightened his grip. Her open palm struck his cheek. The sound was sharp. For one breath, the room froze. Mr. Balogun stared at her. You slapped me. You held me. He raised his hand, but a clerk appeared at the doorway. Mr. Balogun lowered his arm. Throw her out. Morenike snatched the death notice from the desk. 2 guards came. One took her arm, but Morenike pulled free. "Do not touch me." Workers stopped to watch as the argument moved across the courtyard. At the veranda, Morenike planted her feet. "I came here to repay a debt, not to be insulted." One guard seized her elbow again. She twisted free. "Leave me!" A calm male voice spoke from behind them. "Who is Morenike Adeyemi?" Everything stopped. The guards released her. Mr. Balogun suddenly looked uneasy. Morenike turned. A tall man stood on the veranda in riding boots, dark trousers, and a white shirt with rolled sleeves. Dust marked one shoulder. He was perhaps in his late 30s, and authority lived in the stillness of his face. "What is happening here?" he asked. Mr. Balogun stepped forward. "Chief Aderemi, it is a small matter. The girl became disorderly." So this was Aderemi Adegoke, the wealthy widower from an influential family. He looked at Morenike. "Did you become disorderly?" "I slapped your manager." Mr. Balogun smiled in triumph, but Aderemi's expression did not change. "Why?" "Because he held my wrist after I told him to release me." The triumph disappeared. Aderemi looked at the manager. "Did you?" "Chief, she misunderstood." "That was not my question." Mr. Balogun fell silent. Aderemi turned back to her. "What brought you here?" She took the paper from her bag. "My father died 3 months ago. Yesterday, a clerk brought this. It says my father owed your family money and that you will take our home and my mother's dying shed if we do not pay." Aderemi held out his hand. Morenike did not give him the paper immediately. "You think I will keep it?" he asked. "I do not know you." Something like respect appeared in his eyes. "Fair enough. Read it to me." Mr. Balogun interrupted. "Chief, there is no need. I have reviewed the accounts." Aderemi's gaze moved to him. "I did not ask whether you reviewed it." The manager fell silent. Morenike unfolded the paper and read the notice. When she reached the final amount, Aderemi frowned. He held out his hand again. This time, she gave him the document. "Your father was Morenike Adeyemi?" "Yes." "The teacher?" Morenike stared. "You knew him?" "I knew of him." "How?" Aderemi did not answer. "Bring me the original ledger." Mr. Balogun's face changed. "Chief, perhaps after you have rested." "Now." The manager walked quickly away. Aderemi motioned toward a bench. "Sit." "I prefer to stand." "You walked from Ake?" "Yes." He studied the dust on her sandals. "Bring water," he told a servant. "I did not come for hospitality," Morenike said. "No, you came because of a debt. Water will not change the account." She drank slowly. Aderemi remained standing. "You said you came to repay." "Yes." "How?" "By working." "You came alone to offer years of your life for a debt you did not borrow?" "My father's name is my family's name. A child does not inherit every wrong done by a parent." "Perhaps not, but people who take houses do not speak like philosophers." A brief shadow of a smile touched his mouth. Then Mr. Balogun returned with a large ledger. Aderemi opened it on a table. "Show me." The manager found the page. Aderemi bent over it. His expression changed from concentration to something colder as he compared figures. "What is this charge?" Mr. Balogun cleared his throat. "Administrative penalty." "Under whose authority?" "It was standard practice in your late father's time." "My father recorded penalties separately." Aderemi pointed to another line. "And this?" "An additional advance." "To Morenike Adeyemi?" "Yes." "Where is his signature?" "It may be in the supplementary book." "Bring it." Mr. Balogun did not move. Aderemi's voice became quieter. "Bring it." The manager hurried away. Morenike's fingers tightened around the cup. "Did your father ever mention taking a second loan?" "No." "Did he speak of this estate?" "Only once." Aderemi turned toward her. "What did he say?" Morenike searched her memory. "He said a house may look strong while termites are eating it from inside." Aderemi went still. Anything else? He mentioned a blue book. What blue book? I do not know. I thought he meant one of his school registers. Aderemi looked back at the ledger. Mr. Balogun returned alone. I cannot locate the supplementary book. Aderemi closed the ledger. Convenient. Leave us. The manager walked away. Aderemi waited until he was out of earshot, then sat opposite Morenike. There is something wrong with this account. Her breath stopped. I will not allow anyone to take your family's house until I know what happened. Relief came so suddenly it almost hurt. And if the debt is real, then we discuss it. I do not want charity. Aderemi's eyes met hers. I did not offer charity. Good. He looked again. Then his thumb stopped over the seal. Slowly, he lifted the page towards the light. Morenike watched him. What is it? Aderemi said. The signature looks like my father's. Her hope faltered. Then he added, but this seal is wrong. She stared. What does that mean? Aderemi looked towards the office. It means, Miss Adeyemi, that someone may have wanted your father to look like a debtor. The courtyard fell silent. And why would anyone do that? Adeyemi folded the paper. His expression changed, like a man who had discovered a crack in the foundation of his own house. That, he said quietly, is what I intend to find out. The first thing Morenike noticed was that Aderemi Adegoke did not speak like a man who had found a small mistake. He spoke like a man who had discovered a snake beneath his sleeping mat. For several moments, neither of them moved. Outside the office, men shouted near the weighing shed and sacks scraped across the yard. Inside, the silence felt heavy. Morenike looked at the paper in his hand. If the seal is wrong, then the document is false. Perhaps, a wrong seal may mean forgery. It may also mean misuse or a copy made without authority. My father is dead. The man who signed for your family is dead. Convenient for everyone except us. Aderemi's eyes lifted to hers. She expected anger. Instead, he said, You are right to be suspicious. That answer unsettled her more than a rebuke. He placed the notice beside the ledger. I need the old loan books. Mr. Balogun, still near the doorway, cleared his throat. Chief, many records from that period were damaged in the warehouse fire. What has that to do with loan records? Some books were kept there temporarily. Bring every surviving ledger from the year this debt began and 5 years after it. That may take time. Then start now. When the manager left, Morenike said, He does not like questions. No, he also lies badly. Aderemi looked at her, and the faintest amusement touched his face. You say exactly what you think. My father said truth becomes sick when people keep it locked in the mouth too long. Your father said many things. You remember him? The amusement vanished. When I was younger, I heard his name often. He taught children whose families could not afford school fees. He also read contracts for farmers. He believed no man should place his stamp on a paper he could not understand. That would have made him unpopular with certain people. People here? Aderemi did not answer immediately. I do not know yet. That is another way of saying yes. It is a way of saying I will not accuse anyone without proof. Poor people are accused without proof every day. Aderemi accepted them. Yes, he said, they are. A servant brought water and roasted groundnuts. Morenike refused at first. You walked 4 hours, Aderemi said. I did not come here to eat. No, you came to sell years of your life to a debt that may not exist. Mr. Balogun returned with 2 clerks carrying dusty ledgers. Aderemi examined entries. Morenike noticed the first alteration. This number was changed. Mr. Balogun scoffed. You are not an accountant. My father taught me accounts. A village teacher's accounts. Numbers do not become more intelligent because they sit in a rich man's book. One clerk coughed to hide a laugh. Aderemi pulled the ledger closer. She is right. They found more irregularities. Payments recorded in one book were missing from another. Charges appeared without signatures. The entry under Adekunle Adeyemi's name was the worst. The original loan had been serious, but not large enough to explain the amount now demanded. For 4 years, regular payments had been made. Then suddenly, the debt tripled. Additional advance, Aderemi read. My father would never have borrowed that much. Why? He hated debt. When my mother needed medicine, he sold books before asking anyone for money. Aderemi turned the page. There is no witness signature. Then it should not be valid. It should not. Mr. Balogun cleared his throat. The old rules were less strict. Aderemi's voice became cold. My father required witnesses for sums this large. By late afternoon, the air in the office was thick with dust and unease. Aderemi closed the books. I want all of these moved to the West Study. No record leaves without my permission. Mr. Balogun's face darkened. I have managed these accounts for years. That is exactly why I am changing the arrangements. When the manager had gone, Morenike said, he hates me now. He did not seem fond of you before. That is true. You should not return here alone. I am not afraid of him. That does not mean he is harmless. I can look after myself. I saw evidence of that. Aderemi became serious. I mean it, Morenike. It was the first time he used her name. Something small moved in her chest. She ignored it. How long will your investigation take? I do not know. My family has 14 days. Not anymore. The seizure order is suspended. Suspended is not cancelled. No. Then I still owe you. Perhaps. I do not like that word. I am beginning to notice. She stood. If the debt is real, I will work. And if it is false, then I want to know who made it. For revenge? For truth. Then Aderemi said, come back in 3 days. To do what? To help. I thought you had clerks. I do. Then why me? Because you see things they do not. Or because you want the troublesome woman where you can watch her. That too. She almost smiled. I will pay you for every day you work. I do not want charity, and I did not offer it. You can read English and Yoruba, understand accounts, and know your father's habits. That is work. He named a daily wage. She stared. That is too much. You found altered figures before 2 of my clerks did. A carriage took her home before sunset. Mama Sade stood in the yard when it arrived. Fear crossed her face before Morenike climbed down. Over pounded yam and egusi soup, Morenike told them everything. She did not repeat Mr. Balogun's insulting suggestion. She only said he had behaved badly and she had slapped him. Mama Sade put down her spoon. You did what? He held my wrist. Her mother's eyes changed. Ah. That one sound held anger, fear, and understanding. Then Morenike told them about the wrong seal, the altered figures, and the missing witness signature. Her mother became still. Your father changed before he died. How? He became afraid of papers. He would hear a knock and hide documents. At night, he checked the door. Why did you never tell me? Because he made me promise. Promise what? That if anything happened to him, I should not ask questions about Akinola Trading House. Mama Sade sent the boys outside. Your father once said there were men who smiled in daylight and stole in darkness. I thought he spoke about business. He would not explain. The blue book. Her mother's head lifted. You know about it? He mentioned it before he died. So did he to me. When? 1 week before he became ill. He said, if they ask about the blue book, you know nothing. Did anyone ask? No. Did you ever see it? Mama Shade shook her head. That night, Morenike barely slept. 3 days later, she returned to the estate. This time, the guard opened the gate quickly. Word had traveled. The woman who slapped Mr. Balogun was now working with Chief Aderemi. By noon, half the estate was whispering about her. Morenike ignored it. The west study was crowded with ledgers, letters, and receipts. Aderemi stood at a long table. You came. You told me to. Perhaps you know the wrong people. For the next week, they worked. At first, their conversations were only about records. Then little things slipped between the figures. Morenike learned that Aderemi drank tea without sugar and forgot meals when concentrating. Aderemi learned that Morenike read every note in the margins and distrusted clean pages. Why? He asked. Because honest working books are messy. That sounds like something your father said. It is something I say. He looked at her. My mistake. She remembered it all day. Powerful men did not often apologize. Aderemi did. One afternoon, rain began beating against the shutters. The smell of wet earth filled the room. Morenike went to close a window. Aderemi reached it at the same time. For a moment, they stood too close. She noticed the pale scar near his temple. He noticed the indigo stain that never fully left her fingers. Neither moved. Then a clerk entered with papers. They stepped apart. Afterward, the room felt different. The discovery came 2 days later. Morenike was sorting receipts from the year of the warehouse fire when she found half a letter. She knew the handwriting immediately. Her hands shook. Aderemi. He crossed the room. She gave him the paper. The surviving lines were incomplete. The figures in the cocoa shipments do not agree. I have copied the names. The blue account book must not remain here. If anything happens to me, the rest was gone. Aderemi read it twice. My father knew, Morenike whispered. Yes, he knew someone was stealing. It appears so. And someone made him a debtor to silence him. Perhaps. She struck the table with her palm. Stop saying perhaps. Aderemi's face softened. I say it because I do not want to lie to you. She turned away. My father died believing he had left us with shame. Her voice broke. Aderemi did not touch her. He simply stood nearby until she could breathe again. Then he said, we will find the rest. How? We begin with the warehouse. The one that burned 15 years ago? Fire destroys much. It does not destroy every secret. The next morning, they went to the old riverside store. Most of it had been rebuilt, but one wall remained black from the fire. Aderemi brought one trusted clerk and an elderly storekeeper called Paleke. When Aderemi mentioned Adekunle Adeyemi, Paleke's face changed. You knew him, Morenike said. The old man looked at her. You have his eyes. My father came here before the fire. Paleke looked toward Aderemi. Speak, Aderemi said. Yes, he was helping with accounts. That is in no record. Some work was not recorded. Why? Paleke lowered his voice. Because your father had found something. Morenike's heart pounded. What? Cocoa that existed on paper but never entered the stores. Aderemi went still. Who knew? Paleke shook his head. I was a small man then. I carried sacks. I kept my mouth closed. Who knew? Aderemi repeated. The old man swallowed. Your late uncle. Aderemi's face changed. Which uncle? Mr. Oladipo. Even Morenike knew the name. Oladipo Adegoke was one of the region's most respected businessmen. Aderemi spoke carefully. What exactly are you saying? I am saying what I saw. Your uncle came here the night before the fire. Mr. Balogun came too. And my father? Morenike asked. He came later. To confront them? I do not know. What happened? There was shouting, then free. Morenike could barely hear her own voice. In the blue book, the fear in Paleke's face answered before his mouth did. You know it existed. He stepped back. I know nothing. You do. I am old. Let old matters remain buried. My father is buried. The words struck him. My family nearly lost everything because of a debt that may never have existed. You do not get to tell me old matters should remain buried. Paleke looked at her, then at Aderemi. Finally, he pointed towards the blackened wall. There was once a small office behind there. Aderemi frowned. There is no room. Not now. Paleke touched one of the stones. After the fire, they sealed the doorway. Who ordered it? Morenike asked. The old man whispered the answer. Mr. Oladipo. Aderemi stared at the wall. For the first time since Morenike had met him, he looked shaken. Aderemi turned to the clerk. Bring tools. Paleke caught his arm. Chief, think first. I have thought. Some doors are closed because what is behind them should not return. Aderemi looked at Morenike. She held his gaze. Then he said, and some doors remain closed because powerful men are afraid of what people will find. By sunset, the first stones had been removed. Behind them was darkness and dust. A lantern was raised. Inside stood the remains of a burnt desk. Beneath falling timber, something reflected the light. A small metal box. Morenike stopped breathing. Aderemi stepped into the darkness. Dust rose around his boots. The lantern threw weak light across blackened walls and broken shelves. Morenike followed. Be careful, he said. You are standing in the same ruin. That does not make it safe. It also does not make me a child. Even there, a brief amusement crossed his face. Then both looked at the metal box. It lay beneath a burnt plank, one side crushed by falling timber, the lock still intact. Paleke remained at the doorway. That box was not there after the fire, he murmured. Aderemi turned. How can you know? Because I helped remove the bodies. Bodies? One night watchman, a porter. People said the smoke took them. People said? Aderemi asked. The old man looked away. Aderemi forced the damaged lock open. Inside were papers wrapped in oilcloth. No blue book. Morenike could not hide her disappointment. We did not come for one object only, Aderemi said. My father died talking about that book. And these papers may tell us why. The first bundle contained blackened shipping receipts. This figure appears twice, Morenike said. The same consignment? Yes, same weight and buyer, but different dates. Another document showed payment for cocoa sold to Lagos. A third claimed the same cocoa had been destroyed by rain before shipment. Aderemi's jaw hardened. Someone collected money for goods that officially never left the estate. Morenike opened a small envelope. She recognized the handwriting immediately. My father. The surviving note was short. I have hidden the copied figures separately. The original blue ledger is no longer safe. If Oladipo discovers what I know, my family may be used against me. I have trusted the wrong people. Morenike read it again. My father knew. Yes. He knew we were in danger. He may have been trying to protect you. By leaving us blind? Her voice broke. Aderemi reached toward her, then stopped before touching her. For some reason, that restraint hurt more than comfort would have. She folded the letter carefully. I want this. It is yours. Mr. Balogun arrived before they left the warehouse. He came quickly, accompanied by 2 men. What is happening here? Aderemi stepped from the sealed room. You tell me. The manager's eyes moved to the open box. Fear appeared on his face and vanished. This part of the building is unsafe. You seemed less concerned about safety when you sealed the room. I did not seal it. Paleke says you were here the night before the fire. Balogun looked at the old man. Old men remember badly. Morenike said, convenient. Missing books, false debts, and bad memories all gather around you. You forget your place. No, I know exactly where I am standing. Aderemi's voice was quiet. Yes, and where is that? In a room someone wanted forgotten. Balogun turned to him. Chief, you allow this woman too much freedom. Aderemi became still. This woman has found more truth in 1 week than you have offered me in years. That is because she is leading you where she wants you to go. Enough! Aderemi ordered the papers placed under guard and suspended Balogun from all estate records. After everything I have done for this family, that is what I am trying to discover. He left without another word. He will not forgive this. No. You say that calmly. I am not calm. His hands were closed into fists. That evening, as her carriage prepared to leave, Aderemi stopped her. You should not travel alone for the next few days. Why? Balogun knows you are involved. He already disliked me. Dislike is not the same as fear. And now he is afraid? I think so. Morenike lifted her chin. Then he should be. Aderemi almost smiled. You make danger sound like an argument you intend to win. My mother says I was born arguing. The carriage left. During the following weeks, the investigation moved slowly. The papers proved theft but did not identify everyone involved. Oladipo Adegoke's name appeared nowhere. He was too careful, Aderemi said, or innocent. You believe that? No. Honest men do not frighten old workers 15 years after a fire. They now worked in Aderemi's private study. Only 2 trusted servants were allowed inside. Morenike came every morning. When heavy rains made the roads difficult, Mama Shade reluctantly agreed that she could stay in the women's quarters during the week. Morenike saw the estate before sunrise, when smoke rose from the kitchens and women fried akara for breakfast. She also learned more about Aderemi. He woke early, rode alone, disliked praise and forgot meals when he worked. Every year, on one particular date, he closed his door and spoke to no one. Morenike asked the housekeeper, Mama Tum. That was the day his wife died. Morenike had known he was a widower, but not how. Was she ill? No, childbirth. The baby did not survive. That afternoon, Aderemi found her staring at the same page. Is something wrong? No. You have read that line 5 times. Perhaps it is interesting. It is a receipt for rope. She looked up. He was smiling. Morenike smiled too. Then she remembered what Mama Tun had said. Aderemi noticed. What? I heard about your wife. His face closed. I am sorry. I should not have mentioned it. No, you should not have had to hear it from servants. I did not ask for gossip. I know. After a silence, he said, her name was Yetunde. Morenike remained still. She loved music. She sang badly. His mouth almost smiled. She knew she sang badly and sang louder because of it. I am sorry. So am I. He said it simply. Aderemi looked at her hands. Why are your fingers always blue? My mother's dye. Do you dislike it? No. She turned her palms upward. It reminds me where I come from. Aderemi looked at them for a long moment. I think that is why I like it. Her breath changed. So did his. Then a clerk entered and the moment disappeared. but not entirely. 3 days later, Morenike found the first message beneath her pillow. Go home before the dead begin to call your name. She burned it and told no one. The second came 2 days later. Your father did not know when to stop. Do not repeat his mistake. This time she took it to Aderemi. His face became cold. Who knew which room you were using? Half the estate. You should have told me about the first note. How do you know there was a first? Threats rarely begin with, your father did not know when to stop. You are irritating. So are you, he stood. You are leaving today. No. Morenike, I will not be frightened out of the investigation. You may be harmed. Women do not stop living because danger exists. This is different. Because you feel responsible? Yes. The honesty silenced her. Aderemi stepped closer. If anything happened to you because I kept you here, you did not keep me here. I asked you to help, and I agreed. You do not understand. Then explain. He looked at her, his voice lowered. I do not want harm to come to you. That is not an explanation. It is the only one I have. She looked away first. I am staying. Aderemi exhaled. You are impossible. So I have been told. He arranged for an older woman to sleep in the next room and doubled the night guards. In November, preparations began for the great harvest gathering. Every year, traders, farmers, chiefs, and influential families came to the Adegoke estate for 3 days. Cocoa prices were discussed, disputes were settled, and marriages were quietly considered. The house filled with visitors. Goats were slaughtered, palm wine flowed, and talking drums sounded after sunset. Morenike tried to remain invisible, but people knew she worked closely with Aderemi. Some called her the teacher's daughter. Others called her the blue-handed girl. One afternoon, Mama Tun sent her with a file to Aderemi's office. He was not alone. A woman stood beside the window, elegant in lace with coral beads at her neck. Aderemi introduced her. Mrs. Bisola Lawson. Morenike knew the name. Bisola was the widow of a wealthy Lagos merchant. People had been discussing her for days. They said she and Aderemi would make a suitable match. Bisola looked Morenike over. You are the girl helping with the old accounts? Yes, ma. I have heard a great deal. I hope only what is true. Bisola smiled. Truth depends greatly on who is telling it. Aderemi's expression tightened. Morenike placed the file on the desk and left. That evening, she sat outside the women's quarters while festival drums carried across the estate. She told herself she was not thinking about Bisola. She was thinking about the missing records. She was thinking about the blue book. She was not thinking about Aderemi standing beside a woman who belonged naturally in his world. Morenike. She looked up. Aderemi stood near the path. You should be with your guests. I have been with them for 6 hours. And now you have escaped? Yes. Despite herself, she smiled. He came closer. You left my office quickly. I delivered the file. You did. I did not know I was required to stay. You were not. Then there is no problem. Aderemi studied her. You are angry. No. You are worse at lying than I am. I am tired. She walked toward the garden. He followed. You should not walk alone at night. You have turned half the estate into guards because of 2 pieces of paper. 2 threats. Words. Words become dangerous when cowards send them from the dark. She stopped beside an old mango tree. Festival lights glowed through the branches. Why did you follow me? Aderemi did not answer. He was close now. Why? She asked again. His voice was low. Because I saw you leave. That is not a reason. It was enough. Her heartbeat quickened. She should have stepped away. She did not. Aderemi lifted one hand and removed a leaf caught in her hair. Neither of them breathed normally. "This is foolish," Morenike whispered. "Yes. You are my employer. Yes. You are a man people watch. Yes. And I am a woman people are already talking about. I know. Then step away." He did not. Morenike hated that part of her was glad. A voice called from the house, "Chief Aderemi!" "Bisola." Aderemi stepped back. "You should go," Morenike said. "Morenike, you should go." He returned toward the lights. The next morning, a boy brought Morenike a message from Mama Shade. "Come home, something is wrong." Morenike left immediately. She found her mother in the dying shed with a paper in her hands. "What happened?" Mama Shade gave it to her. The letter was unsigned. "Your daughter is not working with Chief Aderemi. She is climbing into his house through a door decent women do not use." Morenike felt cold. "Tell me the truth," her mother said. "I have done nothing shameful." "That is not what I asked. There is something between us." Mama Shade closed her eyes. "Morenike, we have done nothing. Feelings are not nothing. I know. Does he intend marriage? I do not know. Then you know nothing." Her mother took her hand. "My daughter, powerful men survive rumors. Women like us become the rumor." Morenike stared at the blue dye pots. That night, she decided to leave the estate. Before sunrise, she packed her clothes, certain that distance was the only protection left to her. Yet when she lifted her father's old cloth bag, something small fell from a torn seam. A wooden key, dark with age. On one side was a carved symbol. Morenike froze. She had seen it before, on the iron chest in the old riverside warehouse, the chest no one had been able to open. The key did not erase her decision to leave, but it changed what leaving meant. She could not walk away before learning what her father had hidden. She would return once more, open the chest, and then decide the rest of her life with the truth in her hands. Before sunrise, Morenike was back on the road to the Adegoke estate. The wooden key lay wrapped in cloth inside her blouse. She had not told Mama Shade everything. She had only said that something belonging to her father might help explain the debt. Her mother had wanted to stop her, but the look in Morenike's eyes had ended the argument. By the time she reached the estate, the harvest gathering had already begun again. Drums sounded from the main courtyard. Visitors in embroidered agbada and fine lace moved between the house and the long veranda. Servants carried trays of kola nuts, roasted meat, and cups of palm wine. Morenike avoided the crowd and went straight toward Aderemi's office. He was not there. Mama Tun told her he had gone to meet several cocoa merchants. "Can you wait?" "No." Mama Tun looked at her carefully. "What has happened?" Morenike opened her hand just enough to show the wooden key. The older woman's face changed. "Where did you get that?" "It belonged to my father." Mama Tun glanced toward the courtyard. "You should not be holding it where people can see." "You know what it opens?" "No." "You reacted as if you did." "I reacted because I have lived in this house long enough to know that old objects usually carry old trouble." Morenike almost smiled. "Where is Aderemi?" "In the west reception hall." "I will wait in the study." "No. Go to the old storeroom behind the kitchen. I will send him." Morenike frowned. "Why?" Because there are too many eyes in this house today. That answer was enough. The storeroom smelled of dried pepper, soap, and old wood. Morenike waited nearly half an hour before the door opened. Aderemi entered quickly. What happened? She held out the key. For several seconds, he said nothing. Where did you find this? Inside the seam of my father's old bag. Aderemi took it carefully. The symbol. You have seen it. On the iron chest. Then let us go. Not now. Morenike stared at him. What? The estate is full of guests. Balogun is still here, and my uncle arrived this morning. Your uncle? Oladipo. The name changed the air between them. He came here. He says he heard I was questioning old accounts. And you believe that is why? No. Aderemi closed his fingers around the key. If we go to the warehouse now, everyone will know. Then we wait until night. He looked at her. You should leave before dark. I did not walk here to leave. Morenike. My father hid this key. Someone threatened my mother. Someone threatened me. Your manager knows we are investigating, and the man named in all this is now under your roof. Her voice lowered. You may wait. I cannot. Aderemi watched her for a long moment. Then he said, at midnight. They left separately. Morenike spent the day helping Mama Tun and avoiding the guests. Just after sunset, Bisola Lawson asked to see her. The elegant widow received Morenike in his side parlor. People are discussing you, Bisola said. People often do that when they have no useful work. You should be careful not to mistake attention for intention. Men like Aderemi survive choosing badly. Women like you do not. Morenike met her gaze. Are you warning me for my sake or yours? Bisola smiled. You are more interesting than I expected. Morenike left without answering. At midnight, the estate was finally quiet. Aderemi met her behind the old warehouse with one lantern. You came alone? I trust fewer people now. They entered through the rear door. The iron chest stood where they had left it, beneath a cloth. Morenike unwrapped the key. Her hand trembled once. Aderemi noticed. We can stop. No. The key entered smoothly. The lock turned. Inside were bundles of letters, account pages, and a small cloth packet. Morenike opened it first. A silver ring fell into her palm. Her father's ring. She knew the dent near the edge. A sound escaped her throat. Aderemi moved closer. My mother said he lost it years ago. He must have left it here, or someone took it from him. Morenike forced herself to breathe. Beneath the ring lay one folded page. The handwriting was her father's. If this is found, then I fail to return. Oladipo knows that cocoa has been sold under false names. Balogun changes the figures after shipment. The blue ledger contains every true weight and payment. I moved it before the fire. Morenike stopped reading. Aderemi took the page and continued. I trusted Bamidele Adebisi with the location. If anything happens to me, he must bring the book to my family. Do not trust any debt placed in my name. The silence seemed endless. My father knew, Morenike whispered. Yes, he knew the debt would come. Aderemi's face was pale with anger, and my uncle knew he knew. A noise sounded outside. Both froze. Footsteps. Aderemi blew out the lantern. The warehouse door opened. Voices entered. Balogun and another man. Morenike knew the second voice only from public speeches. Oladipo Adegoke. They opened the room. Balogun hissed. I can see that. The girl found something. Then why is she still here? Aderemi kept Morenike still in the darkness. Balogun whispered, Chief Aderemi trusts the girl. My nephew is grieving and foolish, Oladipo replied. She will leave, one way or another. And the box? Burn whatever remains. A servant called from outside, and the two men left. Only then did Aderemi breathe. They know, Morenike whispered. Yes, she touched his arm, but he stepped away. Not now. The words were not cruel, but they hurt. They carried the papers back to the house through a rear path and hid them in Aderemi's private room. By morning, everything had changed. Aderemi ordered Balogun removed from the estate. The manager laughed. On what charge? For now, insubordination. For now? Aderemi stepped closer. When I have enough proof, there will be other charges. Balogun looked toward Morenike. This is her doing. No, Aderemi said. Your own actions are your doing. But Balogun did not leave quietly. By afternoon, rumors spread that the teacher's daughter had bewitched Chief Aderemi and was searching for a way into his fortune. Before sunset, Mama Toon came running. Do not go to the courtyard. Mr. Oladipo is speaking. Morenike went anyway. Nearly 100 people stood beneath the large awning. Farmers, merchants, chiefs and family guests watched Oladipo hold up a paper. Aderemi stood opposite him. What is this? Aderemi asked. A letter. From whom? Oladipo looked towards the crowd. From Morenike Adeyemi. A murmur moved through the gathering. Morenike stepped forward. I wrote no letter to you. Oladipo smiled sadly. Of course you will say that. He began to read. The letter claimed that Morenike had planned to use the debt to enter the estate. It said she believed Aderemi could be made to marry her if she became necessary enough to him. Laughter and shocked whispers followed. Morenike felt heat rise through her body. That is a lie. Oladipo held up the page. Is this not your handwriting? She looked. It was close, very close. Aderemi took the paper. He read it. Morenike saw uncertainty flash across his face, only for a second, but she saw it. That second cut deeper than the accusation. You believe it, she said. No. You hesitated. I was reading. You hesitated. Oladipo spoke gently. My nephew is an honorable man. I understand why a young woman might confuse kindness with opportunity. Morenike turned on him. You knew my father. The courtyard quieted. Oladipo's smile vanished. I knew many people. He knew about the missing cocoa. Aderemi said sharply, Morenike, but she was no longer listening. He knew about the false accounts. He hid evidence, and after that, someone made him a debtor. Oladipo laughed. Where is this evidence? Morenike stopped. The blue book was still missing. Oladipo spread his hands. You see? Accusations. No proof. Then he turned to Aderemi. This is what comes from allowing a frightened girl too close to matters she does not understand. Morenike looked at Aderemi. Tell them. Aderemi's face was hard. Tell them what? That the debt is false. I have not finished the investigation. The words fell like stones. Morenike stared at him. He stepped toward her. I am not saying it is true. But you are not saying it is false. I will not make a public declaration before I have complete proof. Even now? Yes. She understood then. Aderemi wanted truth, but he also wanted certainty, and she had no certainty left to give him. Morenike turned and walked away. He followed her into the side corridor. Morenike, she stopped. You should have defended me. I did. No, you defended procedure. That is not fair. Fair? She faced him. My father is dead. My mother is being threatened. People are calling me a liar in front of half the district, and you are worried about saying too much before your papers are arranged. I am trying to protect the case. I am the case. Aderemi went silent. Morenike's eyes burned. And perhaps that is the problem. To you, this is something to solve. To me, it is my life. That is not how I see you. Then how do you see me? The question hung between them. Aderemi took one step closer. As the reason I no longer sleep. Morenike's breath caught. He continued. As the person I look for when I enter a room. As the woman I should have sent away weeks ago, because every day you stay, it becomes harder to remember what is wise. She could not move. Aderemi. I tried not to say it. You should not. I know. You have a house full of people waiting for you to choose a suitable wife. I do not want a suitable wife. Then what do you want? His voice broke. You. Morenike closed her eyes. For one moment, she allowed herself to feel the joy of it. Then she remembered the courtyard, the letter, his hesitation. She stepped back. You want me here, but you could not stand beside me there. That is not true. It is exactly true. I was trying to keep the investigation from becoming a spectacle. It already is. He reached for her hand. She let him touch it for 1 second, then she pulled away. My mother was right. About what? Powerful men survive rumors. Women like me become them. She left before he could answer. By dawn, Morenike had packed. Mama Tun found her at the gate. You are leaving? Yes. Does Chief Aderemi know? No. He will come after you. That is why I must go before he can stop me. Where will you go? Home. And then? Morenike looked at the wooden key in her palm. I will find Bamidele Adebisi. Mama Tun frowned. Who? The man my father trusted with the blue ledger. Morenike walked out of the gates alone. 3 days later, she found the first trace of him. An old boatman near the Ogun River remembered the name. Bamidele Adebisi, he said. Everyone thinks he drowned. Did he? The old man looked across the water. No. Morenike's heart began to pound. Then where is he? The boatman studied her face, far enough away that men stopped looking. Can you take me to him? No. She placed her father's silver ring on the wooden table between them. The old man stared at it. Then he looked at her again. You are Adekule's daughter? Yes. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he stood. Come before sunrise tomorrow. Morenike swallowed. Why? Because if Bamidele Adebisi still lives, he will only speak to you where the river carries no witnesses. That night, Morenike slept with the ring in one hand and the wooden key in the other. For the first time since she had met Aderemi, she understood that the next step belonged to her alone. Before sunrise, Morenike was already waiting beside the Ogun River. White mist floated above the dark water. The old boatman said nothing when he arrived, only pointed toward a narrow canoe beneath the reeds. Morenike climbed in. After nearly an hour, the boatman guided the canoe to a small mud house beside a narrow channel. An old man sat outside repairing a fishing net. When he saw Morenike, the net slipped from his hands. She stepped onto the bank. My name is Morenike Adeyemi. The old man closed his eyes. I know. Are you Bamidele Adebisi? Morenike placed the silver ring in her palm. Where did you get that? It was hidden with my father's papers. Bamidele's face lost color. So they found the room. Chief Aderemi and I did. Bamidele stood abruptly. You brought the Adegokes into this? Aderemi is not his uncle. Character is character. Bamidele studied her. You sound like your father. Then speak to me as you would have spoken to him. The old man sent the boatman away and led Morenike inside. The room held only a mat, a stool, and a clay water pot. Everyone thinks you drowned. That was the idea. Why? Because men who knew too much were disappearing. Morenike stood very still. Did they kill my father? I do not know. That is not good enough. It is the truth. He lowered himself onto the stool. Your father discovered that cocoa was being bought from farmers at one weight and sold under another. Some shipments were recorded twice. Others were never recorded at all. Oladipo and Balogun. Who else? Bamidele shook his head. I never knew. My father wrote that he trusted you with the blue ledger. The old man looked at her sharply. Where did you hear that? In his letter. Bamidele went silent. Then he rose and moved to the back wall. He removed 3 bricks. Behind them was a narrow space. From it, he pulled a bundle wrapped in old cloth. Morenike stopped breathing. The cloth was blue. Bamidele placed the bundle in her hands. This is what your father died protecting. Inside was a thick ledger bound in faded blue leather, the blue book. Morenike opened it and saw her father's handwriting on the first page, whole, alive. She ran her fingers over the ink. Bamidele turned away. Your father brought it to me the night before the fire. Why you? Because no one important notices a man who carries sacks. What happened? He said the accounts proved theft. He wanted to take them to Aderemi's father. Did he? He tried. And? Bamidele's voice dropped. Balogun stopped him. Morenike's hands tightened around the book. How? I do not know. Your father came to me 2 days later. He was injured. Injured where? His ribs, his face. Morenike felt sick. He told my mother he fell from a bicycle. He lied. Why did you not bring the book to us? Because I was afraid. My father trusted you and you left us with nothing. I know. My mother nearly lost her house. Bamidele lowered his head. You are right. Why now? He looked at the book. Fear did not save me. It only made my life smaller. Morenike opened the ledger. Her father had marked false weights, missing payments, night shipments, and the initials OA. Oladipo Adegoke. Bamidele nodded and turned to the final pages. There were signatures from Balogun, 2 transport agents, and 1 witness. Bamidele Adebisi. You signed this. I did. Then you must come with me. Fear returned to his face. No. Without you, they will say the book was invented. They will kill me. They may. He stared at her. Morenike said, my father was afraid too. Bamidele looked toward the river. Give me 1 day. Morenike returned home with the ledger hidden beneath dyed cloth. Mama Shade saw her face and knew. You found it. Morenike placed the book on the table. Her mother touched the cover and began to cry. He held this, she whispered. Yes. He should have told me. He thought he was protecting you. Men always think silence is protection. Then her mother asked, will you go back to Aderemi? I do not know. You love him. That is not the same as trusting him. No, but do not confuse one moment of weakness with a lifetime of cowardice. For 3 days, Morenike stayed home. On the 4th morning, Aderemi arrived alone, walking into the yard covered in dust. Mama Shade saw him first. So this is the man who cannot sleep. Morenike stared at her mother. Aderemi looked equally surprised. I beg your pardon? Nothing. Mama Shade went inside. Aderemi faced Morenike. You left. Yes. You found Bamidele Adebisi. Morenike's body went still. How do you know? Paleke told me about the boatman. So you followed me? No, I came because I was wrong. She said nothing. In the courtyard, I thought silence would protect the investigation. It protected your ankle. I know. You hesitated. I know. I should have stood beside you. Yes, I am sorry. The fact that he did not defend himself weakened her anger. I also came to warn you. About what? Oladipo knows you are looking for Bamidele. How? I do not know. Morenike stepped closer. Then you should leave. No, I checked the road. I have men watching the area, and I moved the papers from the estate. Balogun has disappeared. Morenike's face hardened. Balogun escaped. My uncle remains because he thinks I have no proof. Then she said, perhaps he is right. Aderemi frowned. She went inside and returned carrying the blue book. Aderemi looked speechless. He opened it and sat down. This is enough, he whispered. No. Bamidele Adebisi is alive. Aderemi stood. Will he testify? I do not know. You found him? Yes. And you did all this alone? No. I had a boatman and a bad temper. Aderemi laughed once. The sound surprised both of them. Then he looked at her in a way that made the air between them change. Morenike. She knew what was coming. Do not. I love you. She closed her eyes. You make everything harder. I do not want gratitude or rescue. I do not want to become a story about a poor woman rewarded by a rich man. Then do not, Aderemi said. Stand beside me as yourself. She wanted to believe him. My father believed truth would protect him, and it did not. Then we do not depend on truth alone, Aderemi said. We use witnesses, copies, and people too important to silence. You sound like a man planning a war. Perhaps I am. 2 days later, Aderemi called a public gathering. Oladipo believed it concerned the estate. Morenike arrived separately in a clean indigo wrapper made by her mother. She wore no jewelry and made no attempt to look like a woman from Aderemi's world. She came as Adekunle Adeyemi's daughter. When she entered the courtyard carrying the blue ledger, the whispers began immediately. Oladipo smiled. So, the girl returns. Morenike walked into the center. With another story? Oladipo asked. With accounts? Oladipo looked at Aderemi. I invited her, Aderemi said. Morenike opened the book. She began to read dates, weights, payments, and names. The first pages caused confusion. The next caused silence. A cocoa farmer recognized his shipment. Another said he had never received the recorded payment. A Lagos trader found a consignment listed twice. Oladipo laughed. A book can be written by anyone. True, Morenike said. She turned to him. That is why my father kept original signatures. She displayed them. Baloguns, transport agents, warehouse clerks. Oladipo's face changed. This proves poor accounting. No, the voice came from behind the crowd. Everyone turned. Bamidele Adebisi stood at the gate. He looked older than any man Morenike had ever seen, but he was there. Oladipo stepped back. You are dead. That was useful, Bamidele said. He walked forward. I carried sacks at the old warehouse. I saw false weights entered. I saw cocoa moved at night. I signed the records because Adekunle Adeyemi asked me to witness the truth. Oladipo pointed at him. A frightened laborer can be bought. Bamidele's face tightened. So can managers. A voice rose near the gate. 2 guards were bringing Balogun in. Aderemi's men had found him on the road to Lagos. Balogun looked at the blue book, and whatever strength remained in him disappeared. Oladipo turned towards Aderemi. This is theater. No, Aderemi said. This is accounting. Oladipo tried to leave, but the guards blocked him. Then he did something no one expected. He launched toward Morenike and grabbed the blue book. Pages tore. Morenike held on. Let go! No! Morenike pulled the ledger back with both hands. One page tore free and Oladipo stumbled into the guards. Morenike stood shaking, the book pressed against her chest. Aderemi stopped beside her. He did not take it from her or speak for her. That mattered. By sunset, the Adeyemi debt had been declared fraudulent and other families were arriving with old papers. That evening, Aderemi found Morenike beside the old mango tree. It is over, he said. No. Oladipo and Balogun will answer for what they did. For my father, perhaps. For many families, it is beginning, not ending. Aderemi nodded. Then he said, marry me. Morenike turned. He simply looked at her. Marry me. Her heart broke open. She loved him. That was the problem. No. Aderemi asked, is this because I failed you? Partly. I came to your house carrying a debt. Then I worked for you. Then people said I wanted your name. I do not care what they say. I do, she continued. If I marry you now, they will say you rewarded me, that you saved me, that I climbed from disgrace into your house. That is not what happened. I know, you know, but I need to know who I am when I am not your worker, not my father's daughter, and not the woman Chief Aderemi chose. What are you saying? I am leaving. His voice became quiet. For how long? I do not know. Do you love me? Morenike's eyes filled with tears. Yes. Then why? Because I want to come back one day without owing anyone anything. She reached for his hand. I am not asking you to wait. I will. Do not promise things you may regret. I have already regretted not standing beside you once. He looked at her again. I do not intend to make the same mistake twice. Morenike cried because, for the first time, leaving was her choice. At dawn the next morning, she walked out of the Adegoke estate. No guard stopped her. No debt followed her. No one ordered her back. Behind her stood the man she loved. Ahead of her waited a life she had never been allowed to imagine. And for the first time, Morenike Adeyemi belonged entirely to herself. 1 year passed before Morenike Adeyemi returned to the Adegoke estate. In that year, she learned that freedom was not a quiet thing. It was work. It was waking before sunrise because no one else would open the workshop. It was arguing over prices in the market, checking every account twice, and refusing to let traders speak only to the men standing beside her. It was fear, pride, and hunger on days when customers did not come. It was also laughter. Morenike and Mama Shade reopened the dyeing shed with new indigo pots and 3 apprentices. At first, they produced only the Adire patterns her mother had made for years. Then Morenike changed the business. She kept written accounts for every customer and worker. She marked wages clearly, refused loans without witnesses, and copied every agreement. People laughed. Must we bring a lawyer to buy cloth? One trader asked. No, Morenike replied, only memory. Her father had died because powerful men believed poor families would forget. She would not. Within months, women from nearby compounds began asking Morenike to read letters for them. Then they brought contracts, debt notices, and school papers. The work grew. By the next rainy season, the old storage room beside the dyeing shed had been cleared and covered with mats. 3 evenings each week, Morenike taught girls and young women to read numbers, names, and simple agreements. Her brothers grew with the new life around them. Toby became fascinated by ledgers and began helping Morenike copy accounts after school, while Kunle showed such skill with indigo patterns that Mama Shade started teaching him the dyeing trade properly. For the first time, their futures were shaped by choice rather than by the fear of losing their home. Mama Shade watched from the doorway one evening. You have become your father. Morenike looked up. No. Her mother smiled. That is good. Morenike laughed. It was the first time she had laughed when speaking of Adekunle without guilt. Aderemi did not come. He sent no gifts, no carriage, and no messenger carrying promises. At first, Morenike was hurt. Then she understood. He was keeping the only promise she had asked of him. He was allowing her life to belong to her. Still, news traveled. The case against Oladipo and Balogun continued. More families brought old documents. Some land was returned. Some debts were cancelled. Aderemi closed the old lending office and created a new system in which every agreement had to be read aloud before witnesses. One afternoon, near the beginning of the dry season, a boy from the Adegoke estate arrived with a sealed envelope. Morenike stared at it before opening it. The message was short. The harvest gathering will be held in 7 days. Your mother, your brothers, and everyone from your school are invited. There was one final line. There is something I would like you to see. 7 days later, Morenike stood before the same gate she had entered a year earlier, carrying a false debt. Everything looked familiar. Everything felt different. This time, she did not arrive alone. Mama Shade sat beside her in a hired carriage. Behind them came 2 carts carrying apprentices, children from the school, and bolts of indigo cloth for sale. The guard smiled. Welcome, Miss Adeyemi. She smiled back. Thank you. The courtyard was crowded. Farmers, traders, and families gathered beneath canopies. Talking drums sounded near the entrance. Smoke rose where women prepared jollof rice, peppered goat meat, and fried plantain. Morenike saw Aderemi before he saw her. For 1 year, she had tried to remember him honestly, not as a hero, not as the man who failed her in the courtyard, not as the man who later chose to stand beside her, only as Aderemi. But memory had been too small. He looked older. There was more grey at his temples. He also looked lighter. He was speaking to a farmer when his eyes found her. He stopped in the middle of a sentence. Then he walked toward her. You came. You invited half of Abeokuta. I was hoping one particular person would accept. Mama Shade made a sound behind Morenike. I am going to find food. Mama! But she was already walking away. Aderemi smiled. Your mother still frightens me. Good. He looked at Morenike carefully. You look well. So do you. The words were too small. Near sunset, he came to find her. Walk with me. He led her to the old West building. The room where they had once examined ledgers had changed. The walls were repaired. Shelves lined the room. Low benches stood in rows. On one wall was a board for writing. Morenike looked around. What is this? A reading room. For whom? Workers, their children, anyone from the surrounding communities. She touched one bench. You built a school. No, he looked at her. I built a room. Morenike understood. It needs someone who knows what a school should be. She turned toward him. No. His face fell so quickly that she nearly laughed. I am not refusing the idea. Then what are you refusing? You. He blinked. Morenike smiled. You are still trying to offer me work. I thought you liked honest work. I have my own. That is true. You could support the school in my village instead. Pay teachers, buy books. Let the women who already trust me decide what they need. Aderemi considered it. Done. That quickly? I have learned not to argue with you when you are right. When did you learn that? I am still learning. Then he said, there is something else. He led her to a smaller room. On a table lay the blue ledger. Beside it were her father's silver ring and the old false debt notice. The investigation is complete, Aderemi said. Oladipo. Convicted of fraud and theft, Balogun also. Morenike closed her eyes. She had imagined triumph. Instead, she felt tired. Aderemi seemed to understand. Justice does not bring people back. No. But it can stop lies from owning their names. Morenike touched the ledger. My father was difficult. So I have heard. He could be stubborn. I wonder where you inherited that. She looked at him. He was smiling. Morenike picked up the false death notice. I carried this here the first day. I remember. I thought I had come to pay for my father's life. Aderemi said nothing. She tore the paper in half. Then again, the pieces fell onto the table. I did not come back because you waited. He went still. I came back because I was ready. Morenike, the first time I came here, I belonged to a debt. The second time, I belonged to the truth. When I left, I needed to learn whether I could belong to myself. Aderemi's voice was barely audible. And now? Now I can choose. He did not move closer. Choose what? You are making this difficult. I have waited a year. I can wait another minute. Morenike laughed through tears. Then she said, You. Aderemi crossed the distance between them. He stopped before touching her. Are you certain? Do not ruin the moment. That was when he kissed her. There was no secrecy in it, no fear of footsteps, no voice calling from another room. Only the quiet of a place that had once held lies and now held truth. When they separated, Aderemi rested his forehead against hers. 3 months later, Aderemi asked again, this time not after a scandal. He came to the Adeyemi house carrying kola nuts, wine and elders from his family. Mama Shade received them without trembling. A year earlier, the Adegoke name had frightened her family. Now the conversation took place in their own courtyard, on their own mats and under their own roof. When the elders finished, Mama Shade called Morenike outside. My daughter, they have come to ask whether you will marry this man. Morenike looked at Aderemi. He looked more nervous than he had facing angry merchants. She almost enjoyed it. I will. Aderemi breathed. Mama Shade added, but she will keep her business. One of the elders coughed. Aderemi said, I know. And her school, I know. And she will not stop speaking because she enters a larger house. Aderemi looked at Morenike. I know that very well. The wedding took place after the next rains. When Morenike entered, she did not wear the most expensive cloth offered to her. She wore a dire made in her mother's dyeing shed. Her fingers were still faintly blue. Aderemi noticed. He smiled. Later, when they were alone, he took her hands. You never lost the color. I told you, it reminds me where I come from. No. Morenike looked at him. Aderemi kissed her fingers. It reminds me who you are. But the house changed. The old West building became a true school. The school in Morenike's village expanded. Aderemi funded books but did not control the lessons. Morenike insisted on that. Girls learned to read contracts. Farmers learned weights and interest. Widows learned to keep copies of land agreements. Every loan on the estate was read aloud before witnesses. The blue ledger remained locked away, not as a family treasure, but as a warning. Toby later became one of the first clerks trained under the new transparent accounting system, while Kunle grew into a gifted Adire craftsman, whose patterns became known in markets beyond Abeokuta. Neither boy ever had to carry the debt that had once threatened their childhood. Years later, Morenike stood before a room full of young women. One girl asked why accounts mattered so much. Morenike held up a page. Because a lie written clearly is still a lie, and truth hidden in someone's memory can die with them. The girl frowned. Then what should we do? Read, ask, keep copies. and do not let anyone frighten you with paper. That evening, Morenike and Aderemi walked toward the old mango tree. Aderemi took her hand. "Do you ever regret leaving?" "No. Even though it hurts?" "Especially because it hurt." He looked at her. "If I had stayed then, part of me would always have wondered whether I loved you or simply needed you. And now? Now I know." Aderemi stopped. "You need me terribly." She pushed his shoulder. He laughed. Then Morenike looked toward the road beyond the gate. Once, she had walked down that road carrying a debt that was never hers. She had believed honor meant accepting every burden left by the dead. She knew better now. Honor was not obedience to suffering. It was the courage to examine what others called duty. It was the strength to refuse shame that did not belong to you. It was the freedom to love without owing. In the distance, someone began beating a talking drum. The sound traveled across the estate. Aderemi said, "What is it saying?" Morenike listened. Then she smiled. "It says the road may be long, but feet that know where they are going do not fear dust." Did the drum truly say that? No, I thought so. It should have. He kissed her forehead. And beneath the same sky that had once watched Morenike Adeyemi arrive, frightened, angry, and ready to pay for another man's wrongdoing, she stood free. Not rescued, not rewarded, free. She had cleared her father's name. She had built work with her own hands. She had chosen love only after proving to herself that she could survive without it. And because of that, when she finally gave her heart, it was not payment, it was a gift. That was the difference. That was everything.